This is Conversations with Ronnie Keith. Thank you guys so much for joining. This is Conversations with
Ronnie Keith
and
Iris.
Oh, you're just gonna. It's Edie.
It's Iris.
You guys know by now. Thank you so much for all the support. We really want to take the time to thank you all for everyone that has been downloading, for everyone that has been supporting Conversations with Ronnie Keith and Iris. We really, really, really appreciate it. Just hit a milestone just the other day. And again, we just started this podcast, but with 5,000 downloads in such a short time, it's just a very, very great achievement for us.
Yes, thank you.
We really work hard at getting, you guys great content, people to interview. We have a lot of success with many different cities downloading us. We want to take the time out just to thank a few of you guys, a few cities: Los Angeles, California, St. George Bastille. I probably mixing that name up. Riverdale, Georgia, Ridgeland, Mississippi.
Yeah, definitely want to take the opportunity and also thank New Haven, Connecticut. We also have Melbourne, Victoria.
That's Australia.
That's Australia, is that? That's amazing. And in addition to that, we do have some downloads as well. And Illinois, shout out to my shy folks out there.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And the many more that we're just mentioning here, and maybe a couple of them that we could also mention. A lot of our folks here at home support us in Kissimmee, Florida. We have Titusville, Leesburg. Shout out to my friends and colleagues out there in Jacksonville. Love the support. Thank you so much. Hit that button, download. You have to physically download for it to count. So thank you so much. And some of these countries I'm looking at, what's going on here, babe?
Oh, yeah. Mannheim, Baden-Württemberg, Germany. A very big supporter. St. Kitts and Nevis.
Oh, Germany.
Japan,
love it.
United Kingdom.
St. Lucia.
Yeah,
thank you for the love and support.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much again. Really, really blessed. And again, we try to bring on extraordinary people to tell you about themselves and have a great conversations. And from time to time, Iris and I will get on here and talk about our crazy life. But
yes.
This week we do have a special guest, an extraordinary person here to talk with Iris and I about what they do and how they help people. And most of the people that we have on here, in some way, shape, or form, they go through life helping people. And this is a unique way of helping people. And what I have on today is what I like to call Iris and I's personal travel agent. Her name is Heather Bowen. She's with Wineland Travel Group. She's a full-time professional travel planner who is an expert in cruising, all-inclusive resorts, Disney destinations, and Universal Orlando and Hollywood. Just recently, she has made the top 10 travel agent sales list for top 10 Virgin Voyages first mates. And that's 2 years in a row that she's done that. A lot of you that listen that know me, you know that, as my wife likes to call me, sometimes I'm a control freak.
He sure is.
And I don't like anybody planning a vacation but me.
It gets on my nerves.
Recently, I let that control go, and we came across Heather on TikTok last year, and I was like, oh, okay, TikTok thing. And so me and my wife were trying to plan a vacation, and at that time Heather had just this amazing deal for a cruise line we had never been on, which is Celebrity Cruises. And as you know, my wife and I are frequent cruisers, and I was like, Celebrity Cruises, I don't know, they're affiliated with Royal Caribbean. I haven't really been such a fan of Royal Caribbean.
They put a bad taste in our mouth a couple times.
So I was like, I don't know, but hey, it's a nice deal. And I've never dealt with a travel agent. So I was kind of apprehensive, but I said, you know what? I'm going to reach out to her. And it was the best decision that we've ever made. We had the greatest time on Celebrity Cruise. She made the accommodations excellent where we were on that cruise line. And The next cruise we
It's the
had,
best one.
yeah, and then in November we did a family cruise with our cousins with Virgin Voyages. She booked that
Mhm.
whole thing for
Very
us,
memorable.
and we'll be using her a few times this year. So, introducing Heather Bowen. Heather, thank you so much for
Welcome.
joining us here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited, and I just love hearing you talk about your vacations because you have been such a joy to work with. You know what you want, which is like a huge thing for travel agents. We love people who are the control freaks who come to us who know exactly what they want, and we can work with you and we can make it even better than you thought it was going to be. So I'm so glad to be here to chat with you tonight.
Yes, thank you. Really appreciate it. And I can tell you, Heather, for us, for me, I'm gonna speak for myself. It is so much of a relief to have someone that takes care of everything, keeps constant communication with you. You don't have to worry about anything. And again, a person like myself,
Mhm.
I just thrive on, okay, I'm planning this, I'm planning this, I'm planning this. And so as we've gotten older, my wife has always said, you need to release some of that control. Release some of that
He's a
control.
control freak, Heather. But you know what? At times, I could definitely appreciate that because we need that sometimes. We women are all over the place at times and we're busy. But I do appreciate that. But what I like, and just to further expand on that, you definitely listen to what people's needs are. What are you looking for? You get them what they need and you do it and you do not disappoint, which is what I love when we do work with you.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm so glad that's been your experience when working with me because that's always what I intend to do. So sometimes people come to me and they think that they know what they want and they're telling me and I'm like, "Yes, that's right. That is what you want, but I think we can make it a little bit better by doing this." And they trust me and we do that and they're just blown away and it's a joy.
Hmm.
Oh, we appreciate that, Heather. And we definitely want to take it a little step back here and talk about you a little bit. I want to delve into and just unpack that a little bit more as to what got you into travel agency or this world called travel agency and vacations and cruises. And we want to know a little bit about you. Let's tell me a little bit more about you.
Sure. So my husband and I, we took our first cruise in December of 2008. Um, and we loved it. And we quickly realized that cruising was the most cost effective vacation out there. So we started taking our children on cruises, and I ended up. One of my close friends had started a travel agency, and so I was kind of like your husband. I was very much a control freak when it came to planning vacation. So I would go to her with exactly what I wanted, even down to like the cabin number. And I'm like, "Hey Amy, this is what I want, but I want you to book it for me because I want you to get the commission." Because what people don't realize a lot of times is all of like cruise lines and Disney, all inclusive resorts, all of these destinations, they build travel agent commission into every single cruise fare or vacation reservation that you make, even if you don't use one. So if you don't use a travel agent, you are still paying for one, but you're not getting any of the perks. So I always wanted her to make the reservation just so that she got the perks of that, or so that she got the commission. And then I got the perks of having worked with a travel agent, but I would end up planning the trip all on my own anyway, because that's what I wanted to do. So we very quickly got addicted to cruising and we were cruising all the time. We homeschooled our children. I worked from home at that point, so we had the availability to go and do. So we did. And
Wow.
she was always after me. She was, "Heather, come on to my travel agency, come be my cruise expert." And I'm like, "No, Amy, it's not the right time. I'm too
Mhm.
busy. It won't replace my income." And she's like, "Well, it could." And I'm like, "Do you have anyone doing that?" And she was like, "Well, no, not right now, but I know that it could." And I was like, "Well, I just couldn't do it at that point." So we
Mm.
let it go, let it go. I just continued booking vacations through her. And then my children were growing up, and one had graduated, or one was about to graduate, and the other was a year behind her. And I was working. So my background is in nursing, and I was managing a dermatology clinic, and
Oh,
was
wow.
just really not happy with my profession at all. And
Mhm.
so I told my husband, I was like, I think I'm gonna sign up with Amy. I'm gonna do this travel agent thing just part time. as I'm still doing nursing and just see if I can build the business. And that was in May of 2021. And then, so I just kind of did it part-time a bit. And then in May of 2022, I took my first Virgin Voyage, came back and decided I was going to post on TikTok about Virgin Voyages. And my TikTok had all of about 60 followers. Like, I never did anything with TikTok. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, I'm just going to get on there and talk about my experiences with Virgin Voyages. And I did. And it went crazy viral. And I got my first booking a few days later, and it never stopped. And then 3 months later, I quit my job at the dermatology clinic, and I've been doing this full time since, and cannot imagine a better life.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Yes, so that's where I am.
You are a corporate, what is it? You got away from the corporate evil. I call it the corporate evil side of the business. I'm glad that you did that and you started your own thing. So I applaud you for doing that. That's awesome, Heather.
Yes, it's been such a blessing.
Yes. And so you said a couple of things there that I want to really go back on and talk about. So for me, we became Virgin Voyage members last year around this. Well, and I'll say in March or April, we took our first cruise with Virgin Voyages. And a few months later, we did our second one, which we booked through you. So funny part about what you're talking about with Virgin Voyages is that when we had heard about it, but we had our own ideas of what Virgin Voyages was, because the first thing you hear about Virgin Voyages is, oh, it's 18 and up. So you're like, what kind of party is this? And so immediately you're thinking, oh, it's only adults. So what is this, a swinger party or something?
That's what I'm saying. Let's be honest, Heather. That's what's out there for Virgin. They're like, oh, you're going to go on a swingers cruise. Oh, it's going to be a lot of sexiness.
I almost didn't go on that first Virgin Voyage because I was so sure that it was not going to be for me. And I look back at that now, and I ask my husband a lot of times, I'm like, what if I wouldn't have gone? What if I wouldn't have gone on that trip?
Yes.
Look at that. Like, I really thought, I'm just going to put this into a funny context here, but I thought I was going to be greeted with somebody with nipple tassels and almost naked when I came into the cruise. And I was like, oh, okay, it's not like that. That's a stereotypical, like what you hear about Virgin Cruise. So I'm so glad.
Yeah.
It truly is.
And so for that, I didn't book with you, but you were the one that convinced me to convince myself and convince my wife to get on the Virgin Cruise, because I saw the video that you made that went viral. I started following you early on. And so I was like, oh, so it must not be that bad, right? And I saw other videos, but yours was the one that stood out. And so I said, okay, well, we'll take that cruise and we'll go and we'll do the Virgin Voyages. And so, but I want to go back just a step further. You said about, for you guys, the travel agent commission is built in, right? So that was a big, thing that had me very apprehensive about using a travel agent, because immediately the first thing came to mind, oh, I'm going to have to pay some extra fees. So for those that are listening, Heather, you already said that, but each company, no matter who you book, take a cruise with or vacation with, they already have those fees built in, correct?
That is correct. So any cruise line, Disney World, Universal, all-inclusive resorts, even hotels, even a hotel that you were to book online has travel agent commission built in already that you are paying regardless of if you use a travel agent or not.
Okay. So there are no extra fees, nothing that anyone has to pay extra, any of that. They're just paying. They're going to get a better deal dealing with a travel agent than they would basically with direct operation of what they're going to.
Correct. Now, I will tell you, there are some travel agents out there who do charge fees.
Really?
On top. Yes, they do. There are some that do. So I'm not going to tell you that every travel agent is like this, but this is my philosophy is in that I'm not charging fees because it's already built in.
And I appreciate you, explaining that to us in detail, because I'm going to be completely honest with you, Heather. That's the first thing that I thought about. And a lot of our colleagues or friends and like, oh, what is the amount? Like we're trying to plan a cruise. We're just kind of like just talking about it with the family. Oh yeah, and then we're like, oh, we're gonna work with a travel agent. Her name is Heather, and then everybody's like, oh, what's the extra charge? How much are they going to charge, or what are we going to be charged at? Everybody's kind of like freaking out, and we're like, listen, it's not like that. So thank you so much for clarifying that, because that was my thought process as well.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And, like your husband was mentioning earlier with the celebrity deal that I got you guys, we also have access to unpublished fares that are a lot of times are going to be cheaper than what you could find if you book on your own.
Okay. So, having said that, Heather, what are all of the advantages of booking with a travel agent, or shall I say, booking with you?
Sure. I can only speak about booking with me because I'm not sure what other people do or what they charge. But when you book with me, my job is really to take all of the stress out of the vacation planning for you. So I'm going to help you choose the right destination or the right cruise line, the right itinerary based on where you want to go, the amount of time you have to travel. We're going to choose the best cabin accommodations for you based on your needs, based on where you want to be on the ship, what's important to you. So we're going to look at all of that. We're going to find you the best pricing available for what it is that you want. And then I'm here to help you every step of the way. I don't book domestic airfare for people unless you're sailing with a specific cruise line that I can bundle it in, because there's just not a lot of perks for you or for me in that. But I will assist with making any dining reservations. I will assist with shore excursions and helping you choose shore excursions and what's going to be the best for your traveling party. I am there anytime there's an issue with your reservation. Maybe you need to change a date, or you need to change someone sailing with you, or maybe you just need to cancel the cruise altogether. You're never going to have to call the cruise line and wait on hold or be transferred to a bunch of different people, because I'm the go-between for you. So I handle all of that for you. If it's not something that I can do online on my own, I'm the one that calls the cruise line and sets on hold for you. So it's just it saves you a lot of time. Again, many times it's going to save you money. It's always going to get you bonus perks. So all cruises booked through me will receive bonus perks, including onboard credit on every sailing. And it's just really there to make sure that your vacation is what you want without you having to stress out about it.
Oh, definitely. And Heather, also, one of the concerns that a lot of people, when they're trying to plan their vacations, is my family going to be able to stay all together in the same floor, right next to each other? I know sometimes that's a little bit difficult to do, but what are your thoughts on that? So it might sound very silly, for someone, but families typically like to stick together, right? Let's be honest. Is that something that you could also help accommodate? That's a concern that had been brought up as well.
Absolutely. So when you're looking at booking, there's going to be a rate for a cabin on a cruise where the cruise line is going to choose your cabin location. Well, obviously, if you're traveling with a group and you all want to be together, that's not going to be the rate that we're going to choose for you, because the cruise line is going to choose your cabin location, and we don't want that. I want to be able to choose your cabin location so that I know exactly where I'm putting you, and I know exactly where your family is, and if you're side by side or how many rooms are in between. I'm able to do all of that. Whereas if you're going online and each family member is booking their own cabin, there's really no way for you to ensure all of that. Whereas where I'm looking at it, I can see the whole availability and know exactly where I can put people to match where they want to be and the price point that they're looking for.
That's wonderful. That's good to know. So I know that we've talked a lot about the cruising part of it, of what you do, but you also work with destinations, Universal and Disney. Can you expound upon what it is that you help families do or travelers do when it comes to these unique destinations like Universal, Disney, or even resort stays?
Sure. So, especially with Universal and Disney, I travel to both of those very frequently. That is one thing about me as a travel agent is I am constantly traveling for my clients so that I know all of the changes. I've experienced them. I know how to give firsthand information.
Mm-hmm.
So with Disney, when someone books with me, we're going to choose the right resort for them, because not only based on price, but based on proximity to the parks and which sorts of transportation are available from which resorts to which parks. And, really having that one-on-one conversation with them to determine what their needs are. And then, figuring it out from there, figuring out which type of ticket is going to be best for them. Then once we get all of that taken care of and they're actually booked, they're going to get all of my tips and tricks on how to navigate the parks. And, when their 60-day dining reservation window opens, we have talked previously, and I can actually go in and make their dining reservations for them. So that's one less thing they have to worry about. And then with Disney, you've got all of these lightning lanes and individual lightning lanes and multi-passes and all of these good things, and that change frequently throughout the year. So I understand these processes, and I am there to really coach people through, okay, so this is what you need to do. When you wake up at 7:00 in the morning on the day that you're at Magic Kingdom, you're going to want to get a lightning lane for this ride. And then we actually discuss each ride that they want to do, and we make them a game plan for each of their park days, so that they're not, I'm sure you've probably been to Disney and you're crisscrossing across the park because you're riding Space Mountain over here, and then, and 30 minutes later, you need to be across the park to Big Thunder Mountain to ride that. And you're doing all these back and forths, and you're exhausted and you're stressed out and you're waiting in lines all day. So that's what we like to avoid. So we come up with this plan, and it's not a theoretical plan. It's a plan based on things that I've actually done. I'm going to Disney this weekend to get some touring plans together for clients. So that's just one of the big perks. It even goes further than that. I have clients in destination. I have had clients at Disney before who literally texted me, told me exactly where they were standing, and asked me where the closest restroom was. I was able to provide that.
That's
very important.
That's very, very important. And I'll say this: we're annual pass holders with Disney. We live here, so we've been annual pass holders for years. We've also at one time had Universal pass holder passes, which we're going to get back. And I can speak to everyone that's listening now that probably doesn't frequent the parks as much as Iris and I do, but it is absolutely essential to have planned out what you want to do. So for our listeners that are traveling from these different countries and cities, it's essential to have someone like Heather to help you because you're not familiar. Because as many years as we've been doing this, we still have to sit down and come up with a game plan on what we're going to do when we get to the park and how we're going to do it. And I'll be honest with you.
What area?
I wish we did have you to just plan that for us for the day, even if it is for 3 or 4 hours. Because it's draining.
It's really
draining.
Especially
it's absolutely draining.
Yeah, and especially when the weather here in Florida, it's brutal. I mean, Disneyland is a whole different scenario. It's a lot smaller, but then again, for us, I will sit here and tell you honestly, Heather, and to our listeners, we have still yet, yes, we are annual pass holders, to yet really explore the park 110%. I'm going to be completely honest. We have not done everything yet. So I could only imagine a family that's coming overseas or that has never been to Disney planning a day. Planning is essential, big time.
It really is. And, something else that, especially these people who Disney is a once in a lifetime trip for them. The importance of planning a rest day in between your park days. So have a resort day or go to Disney Springs or hop on the monorail and check out the different resorts. That's important because 2 to 3 days in the parks and you're going to be quite exhausted.
Oh my God. We could definitely echo that sentiment. Let me tell you something. And I want to just share this really quick with you. Back in September, we actually, I was taking a work trip to California and we were like, let's go to Disneyland, remember?
Yes.
So we went to Disneyland that day and oh my God, it was 114 degrees weather. Yes. I don't know how we did that till this day. I'll never complain about Florida weather. But we did that and there was like a heat wave that happened that week for California. Oh my God, Heather, let me tell you, we were so tired. And then the next day we went to California Adventure. What the heck were we
Uh-huh.
thinking? You definitely do need a break right then and there. I mean, what are some suggestions that you do give the family? Like, I'm assuming have them enjoy the resort. Not a lot of families I've noticed take the opportunity to enjoy the resort or take a rest break there. What do you suggest in that case?
I really suggest, and this is why the resort is so important. So when I talk to clients, I really try to get them to think about this from the very beginning. So, yes, while a value resort may be the best on the budget,
Hmm.
a moderate resort or a deluxe resort are going to provide a better resort experience. So your pools are going to be better. You're going to have more activities for the kids at the resort. So
Hmm.
I highly suggest building in those rest days and taking advantage of these different types of activities. So, they'll have movies on the lawn, or they'll have pool parties, or, these things that your kids can take advantage of while you're kind of resting a bit and not walking 12 miles a day.
Yeah.
Right. And so you
So
help the
yeah, the
people
resort,
with that.
your resort choice is a lot more than just where you're going to sleep at night.
Right. And you help people with that when they're planning with the resort and kind of give them an idea of what the amenities are at those resorts. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, one thing I do want to touch on real quick, Heather, is that um, we hear of you being a travel agent. And one of the things that I really, really respect about what you do, and, we'll give your TikTok information and Facebook information and all that at the end here, but you actually, like you just said, you're coming down here to Disney now just to, of course, enjoy yourself, but, you have a customer that, that you're going to be planning for. And so you want to make sure you have those details. I appreciate how you go on these different voyages, whether it's a destination or a cruise line or wherever, theme park, to actually take in what it is so you can report back to potential clients or your regular clients to let them know what to expect, what they can have on this, and detail what you're doing. So that's a great part of what you do. So I want to know, when you started to become a travel agent, was that one of the requirements that you had to go through as far as testing out the destination or the cruise line or the theme park, or is that something you just wanted to do? And also, what steps can a person take if they were interested in being a travel agent?
Well, I will say that for me, like I said, I had cruised a lot before I ever signed up. I was also very, very well versed in Disney. We had been several times. And my travel agency owner, she was a friend of mine. So, she really trusted my experience at that point. Um, I will say that you have to be really careful. You have to be really careful in choosing a travel agent, and you have to be really careful when you are yourself considering becoming a travel agent and looking for an agency to join, because they are not all created equal. So my big
Mhm.
thing goes back to when you were talking about how often I travel. My uh, example that I always use is that you wouldn't trust a dentist that doesn't brush his teeth, so don't trust a travel agent who doesn't travel.
Right.
Things
Oh, I
change
love that.
frequently, right?
I
Like we have
love that.
things change so fast in real time that, like, we have to be on the ground. We have to be visiting these places. We have to be doing these things. Now, there are some travel agencies that you could probably Google it right now and find a travel agency, and you could join it tonight and get set up and call yourself a travel agent tomorrow.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean that you're an expert in what you do. That means that you've paid the fee to be listed as a travel agent on whatever consortia or host agency that you've signed up with. That's not the type of agency that I'm in. There are a lot of agencies out there that are the pyramid scheme, like multi-level marketing type places, and I just tell people you really have to do your research. And I highly suggest anyone that's considering being a travel agent, you need to be an expert in the destinations that you want to sell before you ever sign up to become a travel agent. It's a lot of investing in your business in the
Hmm.
beginning and continuing on. These trips that I go on, like, I'm paying for those, out
Right.
of my pocket because it is an investment in my business.
That's
And
right.
that's how I see it. And I see it as in the fact that, like, why would I expect someone else to invest in my business if I'm not willing to invest in it? So
Absolutely.
that's kind of my little soapbox on those things. Don't use a travel agent that doesn't travel. And if you do want to be a travel agent, you really should be an expert in those destinations before you ever sign up.
That is very true. And I believe that you have to be what I've heard the term product of the product. You have to
Yes,
know about the product inside and out to be able to sell it and push it forward. That's very, very important. If you don't use it, if you don't experience it, how are you going to be able to tell others about it, right?
that is so true. And I've had so many people reach out to me on TikTok and tell me, "Oh, I want to be a travel agent. How do I get started?" And I always tell them, I'm like, "Well, why don't you talk to your travel agent and see
Mhm.
how she got started or he got started?" And they're like, "Well, we don't use a travel agent." Well, then why would you want to be one? Like, if you don't have enough trust in them to use one yourself, something's just not adding up here to me.
That's right. Absolutely. So, with the being a travel agent and traveling, what are the cruise lines, just for everyone else to know, what are the cruise lines that you are partnered with?
Sure. So I book all cruise lines except for Carnival. I do not book Carnival cruise lines, but I do book all other cruise lines, both ocean and river cruises. And then, like we've talked about, I do all Disney destinations, Universal,
Mhm.
Orlando, and Hollywood, and all inclusive resorts in the Caribbean and Mexico.
You don't, do you do Disneyland?
I do. All Disney destinations. So
Wow.
Alani, Disneyland.
I don't know why we didn't use. You know what, Heather?
I didn't know.
We. I feel like so dumb right now because we should have reached out to you and we didn't even think about it. And I bet we could have
Totally
saved
fine.
and had a
Always.
direction. Because let me tell you, we were hurting. We were hurt. Our legs were hurting so bad and we were exhausted. We did Disneyland and California Adventure back to back.
Well, I think it had more to do with the heat because I mean
Oh my God, we
Disneyland
were
and
dying.
California Adventure are like half the size of Magic Kingdom. But
We were
They are.
dying. Oh my God. And Heather, I want to go back to what you just said. All inclusive resorts. Can we just touch base on that maybe a tad? And let's unpack that a little bit. Touch base on that.
Sure. What would you like to know?
So basically, like what areas of all inclusive resort, what countries are we talking about? How do you help a family in that area?
So like I said, I do all inclusive resorts in the Caribbean and Mexico. My leading uh, supplier that I use would be Sandals, and then which Sandals is adults only, and then Beaches for family, which is Sandals family branch. So those are not in Mexico, but those are in the Caribbean. So you've got Jamaica, you've got Saint Lucia, Grenada, Turks and Caicos. You've got Barbados,
wow.
Curacao,
Oh,
really everywhere there. And then there are some select resorts that I do work with in Mexico as well.
Mhm.
I'm a little more selective about the brands that I will partner with. I don't like sending clients to some place that I have not personally been myself so that I
Mm,
can vouch for it, so that I know where I'm sending you is safe, is clean, and you're going to have a great time. And
wow.
there's just so many all-inclusive resorts out there. So one of my closest friends is also an agent in my agency, and she specializes in all-inclusive resorts. So a lot of times when I have someone who comes to me and wants a resort that I'm not familiar with, I will
Mhm.
transfer that client over to her because that's where she is an expert. And I would much rather the client have a great experience using her expertise and me miss out on the sale than
Mhm.
the client work with me on something I really don't know well and then they don't have a great experience. It's not
and
worth it
thank
to me.
And thank you for that high level personal overview, Heather. One of the questions that we do get asked with family members and people that tend to do all inclusive resorts, which are also great. I feel like they're like cruises, but not really. You have to travel to them. It's the airfare part of it. Is that included at times? Is it not? How does the airfare part work on that?
Yeah, so with all inclusive resorts, especially if you're booking Sandals or Beaches, I can bundle your airfare in. Um, they really typically you don't get much of a price break with the airfare, but we can bundle it in so that it's all included in, one reservation for you. The same way with a lot of the resorts that I do work with in Mexico, the vacation suppliers that I use, we can bundle airfare for those.
Interesting.
Wonderful.
Good to know.
So you did say that you don't partner with everyone, and we noticed that when you named the cruise lines, one was left off, which was Carnival.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad experiences, or what?
So in full transparency, I will tell you that when I fell in love with cruising, it was with Carnival. I'm platinum on Carnival, and that was before I became a travel agent, because when you become a travel agent, you start to look at things differently.
Mhm.
And I started to notice things. And I when I first started out with being a travel agent, I would book Carnival, and it never failed. Every single time I booked a client on Carnival, they would come back with nothing but complaints. Nothing but complaints. And then I started paying attention when I was on a different cruise ship or with a different cruise line, and we'd be in port next to a Carnival ship, and it is a rust bucket. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I cannot book clients on this. And when they pull up to the port, they're going to get out of their car, and that's what they're going to see. Oh no, my name's not going to be associated with that. So it really got down to the things that I sell. It's my reputation on the line. When a client pulls up to that, they're going to be like, Heather told me this was great. This does not look great, and I don't want to be associated with that. So because of all those client complaints, because of the brand really just going downhill so much lately, I've just said, I can't put my name on that. So I don't book Carnival anymore. And usually if a client comes to me and says that they want Carnival, we have a conversation, and I show them some other options that they have, and they end up going a different direction anyway.
Wow. So, and that makes sense, right? And unfortunately, well, I don't know how unfortunate it is, but we did a timeshare thing last year, and they gave us a free Carnival cruise. And I told, that was our very first cruise, Carnival. We started, I think we did our first cruise in 2016 or 2017?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So I told Iris, I said, well, look, we have until November 6th to use it. I'm not looking forward to it. I know you're not. The only thing I look forward to and I've only been on one, is the Guy's Burger joint. Now
Burgers, yes.
They do a great job of. I wish Guy could partner up with Celebrity or somebody else to put his product on there. But I said, if we're going to do it, we have to go on the newer ship, which is either Celebration or Mardi Gras. I said, we cannot go on the old ship, and
like we did,
right? And the certificate is for old ship, but I call the people that is powered through, and they said that we can upgrade. We just would have to pay the difference. And I said, at this point, we're going to pay the difference, because it was given to us, and we just need to use it. But we cannot go on anything but either Celebration or Mardi Gras, because those are the new ships. So
exactly. Yeah. Yep. And I have there, you'll see TikToks of mine there. I talk about, I will book clients on Carnival, Celebration, Mardi Gras, and Jubilee, the 3 new ships. But then it just got to the point where I'm like, I'm making too many concessions as it was. Like, it's just easier to be like, I don't book Carnival. And if the client is adamant that they want Carnival, and I've tried to talk them into a different line and they're not interested, then I will just recommend that they go over to one of my colleagues that do book Carnival, and I'll facilitate that, and then it's fine. We all have our different wants and needs and budgets and whatever, but I just personally, no, I have had too many clients have horrible experiences.
Yes. And people need to realize that there are other cruise lines out there that will better accommodate you. And, seeing TikTok has just been such a great tool for a lot of people. Like I said, with us, we, we've done Carnival, we did Royal Caribbean, I think 2 or 3 times. And then we've been Disney cruise people a lot. I think we'll be gold on this next trip we're going to be taking soon.
I'm so excited.
And I wish I could do it with you. And that's going to lead to my next question after this one. But the thing that a lot of people don't know when they're booking with, I would say with you, one of the things that you offer is that even if what Iris and I have done a few times is we've booked on the cruise for the next cruise, right? So we have, like, we just went
We
on,
budget for
yeah,
it. Yeah, we
right,
budget the extra $250 deposit that sometimes they'll ask. Sometimes it's 200, 250,
3 or
and
whatever,
whatever it is, we try to budget a little bit extra to, if we like it that much, to,
to go
pay
back.
for, yeah, to
Yeah,
go back and pay for an extra cruise.
absolutely. And so we
That's
did
smart.
that. We did that last year when we went to Virgin on our first time. We booked it and we put a deposit down because we loved it. And then we did it again when we went in November. But what happened is when we did that, that was before we discovered you. And then, we talk with you. And what a lot of people are not aware of is that even if you've booked with the cruise, even if you have put a down payment, we can still work with you, Heather. And can you uh, let people know what you can and cannot do when it comes to transferring? Like, okay, you can transfer it over to me as long as this has not gone on, and there's still perks that you can still get with you.
Sure. Yeah. So if you have recently been on a cruise and you booked a placeholder or you booked another cruise, or if you've just recently booked a cruise on your own online or calling in or whatever you did, that's not with another travel agent, that's just booked directly with the cruise line. If it's been less than, for most cruise lines, if it's been less than 30 days since you purchased the placeholder or made the booking, and you did not pay in full, so you just put down a deposit. As long as you have not paid in full and it has not been longer than 30 days and it's not associated with any other travel agent, we can get it transferred over to my agency. I can be listed as the travel agent on your reservation. I can look to make sure you're getting the best price. And if not, I'm going to adjust you so that you are getting the best price. I'll make sure your cabin location is in a good location. And if it's not, we're going to move that. I can make sure that you do get that bonus onboard credit that everyone gets for booking with me. And I'm here to help you with anything you may need. So as long as it hasn't been more than 30 days and as long as you're not paid in full, we can do this.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I highly recommend that, if you do, for our listeners, that you do that. If you have not, if you already booked a cruise within those 30 days, because Heather, we did that the last time for our Virgin cruise, and that was the best decision we made. So thank you for making it more memorable for us, for sure.
You are so welcome.
Um, did you have anything else for Heather before we
Well,
let
one
her
of the
go?
questions that, and to kind of just, bring us home a little bit here, I was curious to see if you had a hotel of your choice or a cruise of your choice. And
Oh,
let's say a family of four comes to you and they definitely want to go on a cruise for the first time. What would you suggest for them? Where would you lead them to?
okay. So my own personal favorite. Oh, this is difficult for me because I
I
love
bet it
Virgin
is.
Voyages. I
Okay.
really love Virgin Voyages. I really do. But when I sailed on the Celebrity Beyond in the retreat,
Mhm.
last October, it ruined me. Like, oh, I
Mm.
love that ship. Sailing in the retreat is just great. So I'm really torn between those two right now. Um, favorite resort? I really, really love Sandals Royal Bahamian in Nassau. That's my favorite Sandals property.
Mhm.
In Mexico, in Cancun, my favorite resort is Atelier. It's 16
Oh, good
plus.
to know.
And then Disney, my favorite Disney resort, again, I've been ruined.
Mhm.
I am a Grand Floridian girl through and through. I love it. This weekend I'm
So
staying at Beach Club,
beautiful.
which I do love Beach Club too.
Mhm.
But okay, family of four, first time cruise. I would ask a couple questions. How old are the kids? If they're
Mhm.
young children, I would really suggest a Disney cruise if the budget allows for it, because I just feel like Disney does everything at just the next level.
Right.
If
They
not
do.
though, I Royal Caribbean would be my next go to for a family of four, especially one of Royal's Oasis class ships.
Okay. That's the newer, bigger ships.
We haven't done those yet.
Yeah, we got to, because Heather, I tell you,
He doesn't like
I
Royal
don't like
Caribbean.
Royal, but we
I
haven't done the
understand.
newer ships. We have not.
Okay.
So,
I think that's a
um,
game changer. I think those Oasis class ships with the neighborhood setup, um,
mhm,
it's just wonderful. We did Utopia when it launched in July, and then we did it with our family. Our whole family did it for New Year's, and it was so
mhm.
fun. And I like that because Utopia is doing those shorter sailings, the 3 and 4 night sailings out of Port Canaveral.
Okay.
So it's a good way to just get on and give it a try to see if you're gonna like it. Um,
I'm getting the look over here. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of staring at him and letting him know, get over it. We gotta try the newer ships. Thank you very
yeah.
much. I see. I love Royal Caribbean. I don't have anything against Royal. And then Celebrity Cruise. I cannot believe they're
Mhm.
affiliated with them. Celebrity Cruise is on another level. Let's talk. I mean that.
Well, they are, and that's how they are owned by Royal Caribbean, but they are Royal's upscale, elevated, adult focused line. So not adults only, but really, how many
Oh,
kids did you see on the ship you were on?
Oh my
oh my
God.
God! I think if we
Like
saw less than 10,
maybe
probably.
10 the whole time.
But Heather,
No
it
doubt.
was the best cruise we've ever been on. Like, I'm honest to God telling you right now, like we tell everyone, Celebrity Cruises
And,
blew us away.
and it was an older ship too. It was
It really
Reflection.
was. It
You
was
did
old
reflection,
shit.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
But
I
you
mean,
know what?
mhm.
When you pulled up to that ship, you didn't see any rust anywhere, did you?
I
No,
sure did not.
no, you did not. I
They
listen.
take care of their ship.
Yes, they do, and that makes a big difference. Like you said, we've been off a couple of ships and seen those carnivals. Like, oh my God, that's terrible. I mean, it really looks like it's going to break down.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But a celebrity's good. The food is good. The
Oh
service
my
is
God.
good. The entertainment is good. A lot of times I have clients come to me and they're in between celebrity or virgin, and we really have a good conversation and qualify them to see what it is that they're looking for, because celebrity definitely gives you that traditional cruise experience with the traditional types of entertainment and activities. And we all know virgin is different. They're not trying to be
Yes,
celebrity or royal or carnival or
that's right.
anything else. They are virgin.
That's
Um,
right.
so but it's not for everyone. Virgin's not for everyone. And I get that. I understand that through and through.
It
But
isn't.
it's just a conversation. And this is why you need a travel planner, so we can really figure out which one is going to be right.
Absolutely. So, Heather, once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Really appreciate your time and being honest and very transparent. I was so curious. I wanted to tap into that brain of yours and to tell me what is it that Heather really appreciates and what does she really like. So I appreciate the transparency on that. So thank you for your time, and this has been great.
You're so
and
welcome. I have enjoyed this.
yes, really, really, really have. Heather, can you please, before we let you go, give out all of the contact
All
information
your
on where people
details.
can reach out to you? Listen, before you
The
give it,
411.
you guys listen to me on this podcast. You also listen to my other podcast, the Short Desk Podcast. You all know. I mean, we've got plenty of fan mail about all of the different cruising and vacations that Iris and I take.
Well, wait a minute. We got
And
to let them know. We've also have dropped your name too, Heather. Hint,
yes,
hint, hint.
we have.
On our show a couple of times.
Absolutely. But I
Well,
want them to
thank
know
you.
that we really value and trust Heather, and you guys know how I am. And for me to say that, that's a lot. And so I want you all that are interested in traveling, planning, that, hear about the vacations that we take, to really, really reach out to Heather. We're just finding out, well, I didn't pay attention to Heather doing planning, like, destinations at Disneyland, Universal Hollywood, or resorts. So I definitely will be using that more often with her and booking through her. But Heather, can you give out all of your contact information, your TikTok, your Facebook, where everyone can reach you at, please?
Yes. So my TikTok is at Heather Bowen Travel. My Instagram is Heather Bowen Travel Planner. My Facebook, because I could have just made this easy and made them all the same, but I didn't. My Facebook is Heather Weiler Travel Group is my page, but I also have a group on Facebook. It's a private group, and it is Heather Bowen's Vacation and Cruise Deals. So
Mhm.
you can find me there. And the best way to contact me is always through email, which is just bowen@weilertravelgroup.com.
All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. People, if you're looking, it's the start of the year, so I know you got vacations coming up. Like I told you guys, we have a big one coming up with our family at the end of the year that we're going to book through Heather. We've got another one that we're going to book through Heather, just me and my wife. And then there's a Disney one that unfortunately we can't book with her because we're going to book it at the last minute. And because we did a placeholder, we got to pay it in full with the people.
Yeah,
But if I had known that before, I would have did that with you. But
it is
we are
fine.
we're going to book pretty much everything with Heather going forward outside of a Carnival cruise, which we got for free. But please reach out to Heather
You will not be disappointed.
at all. Heather, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to working with you very soon.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. This has been Conversations with
Ronnie Keith
and Edie.